Good afternoon and welcome back to The Social here on talkSPORT 2 with me, Harry, Symeou, Kweku. Afari is alongside me through until 6 p.m. After yet another clean sheet for the Gunners, Mikel Arteta has been waxing lyrical about his team's defensive strengths.
I think it's a mindset, it's a willingness to do it. There's a lot of things related to habits, to organization, which every player is so willing and focused to do. And then, the more you do it, probably the more you believe in it, like always, and then one thing leads to the other one.
Kweku, set piece FC at it again. Not the most inspiring Arsenal performance, but they found a way, didn't concede a shot on target for the second game in a row. What's your assessment of Arsenal right now?
Oh, those type of wins, you know my view as a Chelsea fan. I love those type of wins, right?
You were brought up on Mourinho.
Oh, man, that is 5:30, right? Everyone's watching. The hate watch is real. People are like, I hope Arsenal lose. And the fact that you win like that, and Fulham had chances, it's the best way to win games. It just gives you that confidence that we will find the way no matter what. And it was frustrating the points for Arsenal, but you managed to figure out a way, and you can say set piece FC, but that's where football's going. That's where the Premier League's going, and Arsenal have taken it there. And everyone's trying to catch up. And Bukayo Saka talked about his corners, how he had a few rubbish ones, and he finally put in a good one, and you scored from there. And it's a huge part of how you go about your business and how you score goals. Gabriel is one of the most, I think, by the time he finishes his Premier League career, he'll be one of the highest scoring defenders. He is just such a lethal threat. He got the assist for Trossard in the game against Fulham, and I just think Arsenal are rolling, man. Just finding ways to do it, whether it's the Leicester teams, quote unquote, just scoring a goal early and controlling the game, or just finding a way to score a goal and from a set piece and then controlling it from there. Not conceding goals, currently on track to concede 14 league goals. Bear in mind the record is 15 that Chelsea conceded in the 04-05 season, and I thought that it was one record in the Premier League that will never be broken. I still think that Arsenal, it will take some work to break that record, but defensively you're one of the best teams the Premier League has ever seen, and if you've got that, you've got a great chance of winning the league. I'm very impressed with Arsenal, despite the fact that the game against Fulham wasn't necessarily your most impressive performance of the season.
Yeah, and I kind of expected that. You know, coming back from an international break, you're plugging all the pieces back in together and you're hoping that the machine essentially works the same. So I kind of expected it to be a bit of a bitty performance. And for me, it was just get the result. That's the paramount thing here. But I just want to pick up on something you said there. You said that with the set piece stuff, this is the way the Premier League's going, and Arsenal have taken it there. We've all seen a trend this season in the Premier League of greater focus on set pieces, long throws, all of that stuff. Do you genuinely believe that is teams responding to Arsenal being successful playing that way relatively obviously?
100%. Like, I see the way that Chelsea take set pieces and take corners, and we're trying to replicate what Arsenal do. We just can't do it. We haven't got the personnel, and we haven't got the infrastructure. And Arsenal have been working on this for a long, long time. And everybody laughed at the set piece coach and the importance of him. But that's what's winning Arsenal games. Arsenal score set pieces in every game they play. And I feel like teams that, well, my team that have won the Premier League, you think about Jose in 04-05, he brought that 4-3-3 that wasn't prevalent in England. Didier Drogba being that focal man up top, holding off defenders by himself, and everybody tried to catch up. When Conte won the league in 16-17, the back three, and everybody was playing catch up. I feel like people are now playing catch up with Arsenal, and unfortunately you just do it better than everybody else. You've got the best set piece takers, you've got the best aerial threats in the league, and it's going to be very difficult to stop you. And also you can play football as well, you can control games, and that now sort of going deep in the Champions League and challenging for the title for the last 3 years has set you up perfectly. And it's very rare that teams go 2 or 3 years finishing second and don't eventually break through, and it's all pointing to Arsenal breaking through. That's not me piling the pressure on, saying that Arsenal have to win it now, but that's me being realistic, seeing where everybody else is at. I just think that Arsenal look like the best team in the league, and at the moment it's not really that close.
Can I get your thoughts on Viktor Gyokeres? What have you made of him? Because there's a lot of noise around him at the moment. I've said my bit 1,001 times. I'm interested to get an outside perspective on him.
The fee is key here, because if he doesn't work, and I'm not saying he hasn't worked, he works hard off the ball and he does put himself about. I don't know if he's that top level striker that is in the conversations of Harry Kane and Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe. He's not that. But the fact that you spent 50, 60 mil on him means that if you do identify that man next summer, you can go again. It's not like you spend 130 million on Isak, who you have to ride or die with. That's your striker for the next 4 or 5 years. If it doesn't work out with Gyokers, you can bench Gyokers and bring in Havertz when he's fit, and it's not a story. Whereas we talked about Liverpool before, you have to start Isak, otherwise it's a story. So I think the fee was key in the Gyokers deal, and overall his performance has been okay. I don't want to buy into the narrative too much, but I do think he will be a flat track bully where he'll have more joy against the lesser teams in the Premier League. But that's okay. That's where Arsenal have come a cropper. Away at Fulham is where you've come a cropper previously. Against West Ham, those type of games are where you've struggled. Against Newcastle aren't one of the lesser teams, but those games where you've struggled previously against teams that you should beat, I think Gyokers will find his way to score goals in that. But in the top games against the top defenders, I think he will struggle. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't think he's one of the top strikers in the league, but I think he's serviceable for what Arsenal need him to do.
Yeah, I think his all-round game is where the value is at the moment. And that's not what I was saying before he arrived. I was looking at him as a goal merchant. And if he didn't get goals, I was wondering if he could give us enough off the ball. It turns out that so far it's kind of been the other way around. Not quite enough goals, but certainly lots of contribution off the ball. Let's turn our attention to Chelsea because despite the victory, yet another red card for Chelsea as Malo Gusto was given his marching orders. Let's have a listen to what Enzo Maresca had to say after another dismissal.
Something that we need to improve, we need to do better. The negative thing is that 3-0 up, the game is almost finished. You don't need to concede the second yellow card. At the same time, that showed the desire of the player that they don't want to concede nothing. They were, shouting each other in the last minutes. Don't concede, clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet. So also showed the desire that they don't want to concede. So the bad thing is that, unfortunately we concede another red card. But the good thing is that they show that they don't want to concede nothing, even with 3-0.
That's another big victory for Chelsea. Enzo Maresca trying to see kind of both sides of the dismissal, and I don't want to dwell on the negatives because it's a massive result for Chelsea, I think, following up what they did against Liverpool just prior to the international break. But is discipline an issue for you? Is it a concern, or is it just one of those runs? It happens.
No, it is a slight concern. That was immature. The second yellow that Gusto got, there was no need to make that challenge at all. And it was almost the perfect start to the footballing weekend for Chelsea. The early kickoff, everyone's watching. Obviously, all eyes on Ange, but also all eyes on if Chelsea can follow up the result against Liverpool. And we did. And to get that silly second yellow was so unnecessary. And Gusto's important for us because he's been playing centre midfield recently, but he alleviates some of the minutes that Reece James has to play. And Reece James has been great this season, but Maresca's carefully managed his minutes. Gusto's a perfect replacement for James, not just at right back, but also when James drops into midfield. And so it just does mean that Reece James will have to play the next Premier League game where we might have rotated. And it's silly, right? It's the fourth red card for an outfield player or a player this season. Robert Sanchez, Trevor Chalobah, João Pedro in the Champions League, and now Malo Gusto, and our manager got sent off before the international break against Liverpool. So
but that was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous. But I just think we need to button up a little bit, and I think it's reflective of the age of the squad. Last season, I've talked about it loads. We were the youngest squad in Premier League history. This year, it's still a very young squad. Didn't really bring in that veteran experience in the dressing room. And so these things are going to happen, but they need to stop happening because eventually it will cost you. It cost us against Manchester United. It cost us against Brighton. Luckily, in the Champions League against Benfica and on the weekend against Nottingham Forest, it didn't cost us, but we just need to button up a little bit because we don't want any negative narratives coming from a game that we performed so well in the second half. But in terms of the result, very happy. Very happy. We managed to figure it out in the second half. Maresca was very proactive with his transfers, with his substitutions. 3 subs in the second half, and they affected the game. And they weren't the conventional substitutions that all the fans were calling for. You brought in Mark Gui to run the lines and to be the focal point up top, and he did that very well. And he led to a lot of good things that happened for Chelsea. So I'm really happy that we've got back-to-back Premier League wins. That's 3 wins in a row in all competitions. And we just need to carry this on because there's an opening, right? Man City, of course, they're putting wins together, but they don't look like the same Man City. Liverpool are vulnerable. Arsenal are clearly the best team in the league, but there's an opportunity for Chelsea to finish above Liverpool and Man City for the first time in a long time. So let's go out there and do it.
What do you make of the Cole Palmer news? He's not going to be available for a minimum of 5 more weeks. Is that a major... Well, he's such a good player. Of course, it's a concern. But is it something you think Chelsea are equipped to cope with?
No, not necessarily. Cole Palmer is not just Chelsea's best player, not just the best player or one of the best players in the Premier League, but one of the best players in the world. And I think it's hard for us to adjust to that fact, because when he was brought in to Chelsea, it wasn't with too much fanfare. But over the last couple of seasons, he has shown that not only can he score goals, but he can create. He's just that focal point and that metronome for Chelsea when it comes to everything good going forward. Any team that loses a player of that quality will struggle. We'll just have to figure out a way to tread water. And that's down to Maresca. I'm not a fan that likes to point to injuries as an excuse. Chelsea over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been well documented, have spent a lot of money. You should have a squad that can deal with these type of injuries. I know Arsenal are at a different point in their development than us, but you've been without Odegaard for large parts of this season, without Saka for large parts of this season, Saliba as well, and managed to figure out ways to get results. I know Cole Palmer, he plays a more central figure to Chelsea because we haven't got as many good players as you, but we need to figure it out, because nobody's going to cry for Chelsea if we drop points because Cole Palmer's not there. We need to find a way of winning games without him.
And also, with all due respect, the club have spent a hell of a lot of money to build a squad that should be capable with dealing with injuries. I know that there are some players in football that are just irreplaceable. Some are so good that you can't just bring someone in of an equal level, and Cole Palmer's definitely one of those. But you're right, nobody's going to cry for Chelsea. You've put that absolutely.
We need to figure it out, mate. And I'm hopeful. Like, I've been up and down this season. At the beginning of the season, I was really brash and brazen off the back of the Club World Cup, and then it faltered a little bit after that poor run of games. But off these back-to-back Premier League wins, I think that we can go and make some noise in the league, especially heading into Christmas, where we normally and traditionally do struggle.
Brilliant stuff. Kweku, always great to get your thoughts on Chelsea. You are listening to The Social on talkSPORT 2. Next up, we're going to discuss the Premier League's newly promoted sides. Could we see Sunderland, Leeds and Burnley all stay up this season? That's next.